Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us. Just an FYI, we are recording this session. Um, so if you have any colleagues, coworkers that might want to watch it at a later date, it will be available. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully this is a nice little midweek break. I know that tensions can be high, especially today. I do want to start with a quick poll just to check in to see how you all are doing. It's anonymous. I'm not going to know what you say. If you all could give me a thumbs up when you're done, we can keep cruising. Thanks, Amy. Oh, good. It's a pretty even split of that 3 to 4 range. So it's kind of good. We could use a few improvements, and it's pretty awesome. So glad to see that it's not anybody's worst week ever. Perfect. And if you wanted to see the results, like I said, even split. Awesome. Like I said, thanks so much for joining us. January's theme for these weekly chats is SMART goal setting. Last week we talked about how to do that, and this week we're looking at how to create an action plan around our goal. I invite you at any time to interact. You can put yourself on camera, whatever is most convenient and comfortable for you. I understand that we might be eating lunch right now, or have a couple other things doing, so yeah. Let's talk about action planning. So, like I said last week, we talked about SMART goal setting, what that means, and we're going to take that a step further with this action planning. So it's taking that goal and making it very granular to make sure that we know what success looks like, gives us a clear direction and an ending for what we're trying to do. We're also able to prioritize things based on the effort, the impact when we have some time. And I think that's really important. So if we have the goal of, say, last week, I identified that my goal is to read one book per month, and that seems like a big ask. But if I know that the direction is that I want to read a book, this is the book I want to read. I'm going to read 10 minutes every weeknight and then half an hour on the weekends and breaking it down. So we're going to have an experience doing that as well. Awesome. So just a quick review of what a SMART goal is. It's S stands for specific, the who, what, where, whens, and whys. So an example, again, if you want to lose weight, that's not a very smart goal because we don't know how much when it's time bound, or how we're going to do it. So being very specific of, I want to lose 5 pounds, fit in a size, whatever it could be by the end of February, really making sure that it's measurable. How are we tracking that progress? Is the goal obtainable? If you wanted to lose 50 pounds by the end of the week, your goal is probably not attainable, but 50 pounds by the end of the year might be for you. Is it relevant? Is this going to have a big impact on your life? You might have the goal of, wanting to run a marathon next month. Is that relevant? Maybe not if you're not a runner. Or, making a budget might not be relevant to where you are at right now. Thanks so much for joining us. And then time bound. Obviously, we don't want this goal to last forever and ever. So hopefully we all have at least one idea in mind of what kind of goal we want to focus on so we can make that action plan. Do I have any questions as of yet? Feel free to unmute yourself and just go for it. Awesome. I just ate my lunch, so talking isn't the easiest right now. Perfect. So this is the time that if you all want to grab out a piece of paper and pen, a planner, wherever you like to do your thinking best. Let's break this down. So again, what is our goal? We want it to be as specific, measurable, obtainable, and relevant and timely as possible. This doesn't have to do with your physical health. It could do with any of the 8 pillars of well-being. We talked about that last week, those being social, physical, emotional, financial, occupational, spiritual, intellectual, and environmental. So an example of like a social goal would be to make one phone call to a loved one per week. Physical, taking care of that physical body through nutrition, exercise, weight loss, seeing our doctor. Emotional could be a myriad of things. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's setting an appointment to see a mental health professional. Maybe it's going out on a date night with your significant other. Financial could be a budget. It could be reeling in some of that spending or making that goal to go on a big trip. Hopefully at some point we're allowed to travel again. Occupational, around your job. Intellectual, around things you want to learn. Environmental, about around the things in your space. Last week we talked a lot about decluttering some spaces. So just an example of different realms that you can make your goal. The next, once we fill out this little box down here, the next one is what steps do I need to take? So I'm going to go with my goal of read 1 new book per month. So that's my goal. It's specific. I can measure how far along I'm reading. It's obtainable. I have 30 days or 31, depending on the month, to finish a book. It's relevant because I love to read and I love to learn. And it's timely because I have to fill my time somehow with COVID and staying at home. So my steps might look like identify a book that I want to read based off of my interest, based off of top sellers. The second step would be to obtain that book. Maybe that's through the library, both in the physical form or the ebook form. Maybe it's buying it online, maybe supporting a local bookstore. And then breaking that down of every night during the week, I'm going to read 10 minutes before I go to bed. And on the weekends, I'm going to increase that to 30 minutes when I have a little bit more flexibility. So I'd write out all of those steps to hopefully, I can check those off every day. I can write it on my to-do list on my calendar to read 10 minutes, read 30 minutes. In the timeline, this would be my actual due date. So on the 1st of every month, I would identify my book, how I'm going to get it, and plan out that reading time. So by the 31st of the month, I'll start this goal in February. So on the 28th of the month, I know if I was successful and if I wasn't successful based off of how far I got. Once you've established your timeline for your goal, we're going to talk about barriers. And next week, we're going to dive a little bit more into what barriers could be, how we can overcome those. But what are my barriers? What are things preventing me from being successful in achieving my goal? Is it I ran out of time? Work is really stressful. The last thing I want to do at the end of the day is, read more things. Maybe I'm taking care of my kids or my significant other, older parents, things like that. And some of it too might just be like, I didn't identify a book. Nothing really, sparked that joy in my life right now. Whatever it could be. So write down your barriers. If your barrier is to run more, maybe it's the weather because it's cold in the month of January. If you're trying to lose weight, maybe your barrier is that folks in your household aren't supportive, or you really love sweet treats and you don't quite know how to break that habit. So that's what we're looking for, barriers, everything that could possibly get in your way. And then looking at resources, what resources do I need to be successful? Do I need to get a personal trainer? Do I need to download the Incenta Health app and follow their workouts and meal plans? Do I need to learn a new skill? Thankfully, I know how to read, but that could be a skill. It would be a barrier if I didn't know. And I need the book. That's a resource as well. And often with goal setting, we can get discouraged pretty easily when it comes down to, maybe we're not making the progress we want to make as quickly as we want to make. So who are those people that you can rely on for support? And who's your accountability buddy? Accountability buddy. So this is the person that you check in with to make sure that you're making progress. It could be a mentor, it could be a friend, it could be someone in your office. It could be someone in your book club or at the gym, just somebody that you trust, and that hopefully won't hurt your feelings if you don't reach all of your action goal steps. And then the last piece with an action goal is, how do we measure success? It's great to say, I want to lose weight, but what does that look like? And if we don't lose that weight, are there other ways that we can measure success? Is it, I didn't lose that 10 pounds, but my clothes feel better. I have more energy to keep up with my kids. I'm not seeking out, sugar sweetened beverages as often. So celebrating those little wins as well. And also knowing what defines your success and how do you know that your goal has been accomplished so we can start a new one. And that's different for everybody. And throughout this entire process, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm sure they had to go back multiple times and look at the engineering again and say, hey, this isn't working. Let's try it this way. Don't be afraid to do that with your own goals as well. Especially if you're working on a new habit, it's hard to make sure that we do it perfectly every single time. We are human, things happen. That's why we identify those barriers. Yeah. Is there anybody that would like to share what their goal is, some action steps that they're going to take, in the next week or two? Feel free to just take yourself off mute. Hey, Kim.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Kim, and I am planning on a goal of losing 10 pounds.
By when?
By when?
Let's make it memorable and timely.
6 weeks. So
okay.
That's a little bit less than 2 pounds a week, so it's not too extreme, so that I would be able to keep it off.
Okay.
And
perfect. Do you mind sharing what some of the steps are? You don't have to go terribly in detail, obviously, with what you're comfortable with. What are your action steps to achieve that goal of 10 pounds of weight loss?
Track food and portion intake and track my exercise.
Awesome. Wonderful. Is there somebody in your life that you can keep you accountable, that you can lean on for support when you're feeling discouraged, or if you need a little bit more encouragement?
Yes, my husband.
He sounds like a good dude.
Yeah. He'll tell me that I'm doing a good job, even though sometimes I don't feel like I am, and he'll encourage me.
Oh, good. Does he, is he okay with like meal changes and doing some exercise with you?
Sometimes.
Okay, that's fair. What could your possible barriers be, Kim?
My family loves to eat out.
Okay.
And so I would just have to remind myself when we eat out to pick a healthy option.
Mhm. And with portion control too, saying it's okay if I don't eat all of this, I can take the rest home and eat it tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Our portions in this country are huge.
they are. They
Okay.
are. I think a lot of times when I go to a restaurant, I normally bring home about half my portion.
Mhm. It's crazy how much food they give you. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I'll check in with you next week if you join us to see how your action plan is going.
Thank you.
Of course. Anyone else care to share what their their goal is for this week and this month? Wow. You all are easy this week. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Oh, that's last week. So if nobody has any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll let you get back to your day. I'll stay on for a little bit if you want to talk offline. If not, we'll see you next week.